You a bounty hunter?
Yeah, he's got to do something for a living these days.
Dying ain't much of a living, boy. Well, you're gonna pull those pistols and whistle Dixie.
Josey Wales is a quiet farmer living a peaceful life along with his wife and son in Missouri. He seems happy and content with what he has got in life. But one day, his world turns upside down when a group of pro-Union Jayhawkers called the Red Legs, led by the merciless Captain Terrell, attack his home. They arrive on horseback and Josey hears the gunshots while he was working on his farmland. He rushes to his home only to find it in flames, while the Red Legs are torturing his family. He tries to defend them, but is helpless in front of so many armed men. He lay unconscious on the ground, while his family meets a terrible fate. The Redlegs proceed to their next mission, without feeling any remorse whatsoever. Once he returns to his senses, he gets back on his feet, and with a broken heart, drags the corpses of his wife and son and gives them a proper burial. The scene is heartbreaking, as just a few moments ago, they were a happy family, living their life to the fullest. Once they are buried, he takes out his pistol from the wreckage and shoots at a piece of wood, as if trying to kill the helpless farmer who could not protect his own family. Devastated, he sits near his family, but after some time, a group of pro-Confederate Missouri bushwhackers arrive at the scene. They are led by Captain William Anderson. Having no one to take care of and driven by pure rage, he joins them in their battle against the Red Legs, but as the war progresses, the bushwhackers lose ground and face heavy loss of men. They are slowly overpowered by the Red Legs, who are backed by Senator James Lane. In one such battle, Captain Henderson dies, and the responsibility falls upon Captain Fletcher. The war continues for a few more months, but the scenario becomes worse for Josey and his men. At the conclusion of the war, Captain Fletcher persuades his men to surrender, telling them that they have been granted amnesty.
All that a fella has to do is ride into that Union camp down there, raise his right hand and swear as such as he'll be loyal to the United States. Then he can take up his horse again and go home.
The men too are tired of fighting for such a prolonged period of time and agree to surrender their weapons. But two of them, Jamie and Josey, are reluctant to do so. Josey eventually persuades Jamie to follow the rest and keeps a watchful eye on the whole scenario. The men file in a line and give up their arms, but while they are taking oath, Fletcher sees Captain Terrell, who has now joined the senator and has been appointed as an official of the United States of America. Senator James Lane promises that his men will be treated decently, but right then, Josey spots a few soldiers getting ready with Gatling guns. He understands that the bushwhackers have been led into a trap and immediately rides ahead to warn them. But he is too late, as most of his men get killed by the Union soldiers. Josey was not going to let this slide, and jumps into battle. Jamie also gets shot in the back by Terrell, but despite that, persuades Josey to flee from the spot.
You promised me those men would be decently treated.
They were decently treated. They were decently fed. And then they were decently shot.
James Lane assigns Fletcher and Terrell with the job of capturing Josey Wales, and the two set off with a bunch of soldiers. Knowing very well that the Union soldiers will be after them, they decide to travel to Indian Nation. Jamie accompanies him in the journey, and the duo soon come across a ferry. They cross the river, but the Union soldiers soon catch up to them. Jamie panics and proposes that they ride as fast as they can, but Josey knows better. Right after the soldiers board the ferry, Josey shoots the rope, leading Captain Terrell and his men to get washed away. They continue their journey, and at evening, Jamie's condition worsens, and Josey applies a medicinal paste on his wound to alleviate his pain. His words remind him of his deceased son, and it seems as if Josey has finally begun to care about somebody.
Pa did all the fancy needlework for me. Told me not to tell no one. Imagine a grown man doing that for his own kid.
But out of the blue, two bounty hunters take them at gunpoint. The sharp-witted Jamie fools the hunters into believing that he has some gold under his blanket, and the duo swiftly eliminates them. Josey does not show the courtesy of giving them a proper burial and leaves them to buzzards and worms.
Wish we have time to bury them, fellas.
Hell with them fellas. Buzzards gotta eat, same as worms.
Their journey restarts, and they are just 20 miles away from their destination when they face a sudden downpour. They camp for the time being, planning to quietly pass through the woods under the cover of night. Josey leaves him inside the tent and goes to survey the surroundings to check for any nearby soldiers. But when he returns, he has another heartbreak as Jamie passes away. Knowing that the Redlegs will give him a better burial, he shoots the rope, scaring the horse which runs to the Union camp nearby. Josey continues alone, and his path crosses with an old Cherokee named Lone. He is an Indian who has been driven out of his land and has lost his wife and child in the process. Tired, Josey takes rest at his cabin for the night. Next morning, he wakes up energized and ready to continue his journey. Lone also wishes to accompany him, but he does not have a horse. Hence, Josey travels to the nearest trading station to get a horse for the old man. There, a Navajo girl named Little Moonlight accidentally breaks a bottle, making the store owner angry enough to use force. But he stops when he sees Josey giving him a death stare. Inside, there are two men buying some supplies, but when they see Little Moonlight, they start to violate her. Josey spits on one of them, and the man immediately recognizes him as the famous outlaw. The two men hold him at gunpoint, but he pretends to surrender and shoots them dead in the blink of an eye.
Ease them pistols out.
Josey gets the horses, and now Little Moonlight joins the men in their journey. The trio travel to Texas to get some supplies, and inside a store, we are introduced to Grandma Sarah and her granddaughter, Laura Lee. Laura's father was a redleg and had died in the war, and the duo are now traveling to Santo Rio, where he had built a ranch before his death. Josey happens to be in the same store and learns that there is a bounty of $5,000 on his head. Unfortunately, when he is leaving, one of the townsfolk recognizes him and calls him by his name.
It's Josey Wales!
Nearby Union soldiers hear this and prepare to shoot him dead, but Josey proves to be faster. And the duo flee on their horses, leaving Little Moonlight alone and stranded. After traveling some distance, Lone hears a few horses approaching their location. The men lie in wait for the soldiers, and once they spot one, they jump on him. But it appears to be Little Moonlight who was following them. Despite wanting to travel alone, Josey resigns to the company of the two Indians and soon reaches an area ruled by the Comancheros. They loot anyone and everyone who passes through that way, and this time it is Grandma Sarah and Laura Lee who become their victims. The thugs begin violating Laura, and just as Josey is about to shoot, their leader stops his men. But right then, Lone steps on a loose rock, alerting the Comancheros of his presence. Poor Lone gets caught and dragged alongside Grandma Sarah and Laura. But Josey had other plans in mind. He approaches the thugs with a white flag, prompting the men to approach him, believing that he is harmless. But as soon as they go near him, he spits on one of them and shows them what he is capable of.
Just get off the horse.
He eliminates all the thugs, rescuing Grandma Sarah and Laura, who join him in his journey. He does not know how he should feel about the company of all these people. He remembers his deceased family and is in doubt of starting a new one. But his trance breaks when Grandma Sarah tells them about her ranch in Santo Rio. Laura, already impressed by his bravery, initiates small talk, but he acts distant. Meanwhile, Fletcher and Terrell reach Texas and come to know about the soldiers who were killed by Josey. They believe that he is headed for Mexico and continue their search for the outlaw. Josey and his group reaches Santo Rio, and there, we see two bounty hunters already waiting for the infamous outlaw. The group enters a saloon and find out that the town is not as glamorous as it once used to be. The lack of silver has driven away most businessmen, and the lack of drinks has driven away the rest. Josey brings them the drinks which he had recovered from the Comancheros, and the men celebrate. But trouble always follows Josey. One of the bounty hunters enters the saloon and asks for Josey, but he tries to warn him about the consequences.
You know, this isn't necessary. You can just ride on.
Josey displays his gunslinging skills, and the other bounty hunter runs off. The group reaches the ranch, and the men soon start cutting wood, and the women diligently clean the place. Even the dog helps them with the chores. After a long time, it seems as if everything is back to normal, but just then an injured lone brings the news that two of their men have been abducted by the Comanche. Josey understands that the Comanche may kill the men at any moment, and hence trains the women and lone on how to defend themselves inside the ranch, in case the Comanche attack.
Now remember, when things look bad, and it looks like you're not gonna make it, then you gotta get mean. I mean plumb mad dog mean.
He sets off to meet the leader of the Comanche, Chief Ten Bears. Ten Bears feels the honesty in his words, and out of respect for the warrior that Josey has become, makes him his blood brother. The group is overjoyed to have rescued the two men, but their trouble just doesn't seem to end. Captain Terrell and his men somehow track down Josey and surround him, assuming that he is alone. But this proves to be their biggest mistake as the previous training comes in handy, and Josey's group take down one man after the other. Using the cover of the ranch, the group shoots all men, but Terrell manages to flee on horseback. Josey gives chase and eventually catches up to the perpetrator. He remembers how his family was slain by the same man standing before him, and his heart gets filled with rage and hatred. He kills the evil man with his own sword, thereby completing his revenge. When he returns to the saloon, he finds Texas Rangers looking for him, and they are accompanied by Fletcher. But the men in the saloon called Josey by the name of Mr. Wilson, trying to save him from the law. They lie to the officials that Josey Wales was killed in a shootout by 5 men and also sign an affidavit declaring the same. Fletcher remains silent during the entire conversation, and by doing this, he doesn't just save Josey from prison. He gives a broken farmer a chance to drop his guns, stay on the Texas ranch, and finally live a peaceful life with his new makeshift family, as if trying to balance the scales for his own past mistakes.
I think he's still alive. I think I'll go down to Mexico to try to find him. I think I'll try to tell him the war is over.
This is how the movie ends. Thank you for staying till the end, and hope you all liked the recap. See you all next time.